pay for the car, not the people.
Okay.
And cash or check. We can stop you by an ATM if you don't have either one of those.
Okay.
Hi there. Sorry.
Well, I was doing your job. It's all right.
Sorry.
She's on the phone, and we can take you right now if you want to. We're not
Oh, that'd
exactly
be
ready.
wonderful.
people.
Yeah.
You won't let us out unless we got cash,
I'll
right?
put you out the quarry and keep driving. Is what I do.
That's right.
So we'll go in this one
All
right here if
right.
you want, and sit however you want to.
Okay.
I'll let you sit up front there.
You got
Let me sit front.
Sure.
Well, this is typical, babe.
Yeah.
He won't know if you don't have it.
We just had a hurricane. This street was swept free of all the leaves and everything, but
He's still going. The hurricane cleaned it, eh?
our cars has one from every year that the TV show would have used them.
Oh.
Yeah. This
So-
is 1960s.
4.
And I like the auto windows.
Oh yeah. The see that one there's a 61, for instance.
Okay.
And we don't think these are the cars from the show, but they are from the same time period. Andy Griffith's show was sponsored partly by Ford Motor Company, and they are using vehicles that resemble police cars because Ford was making Galaxies into police cars.
Yeah.
So it's not really a stretch. And they update the car every year because somebody in Michigan wants you to see the new Galaxy every
Yeah.
single year.
Yeah.
So there is no one particular Mayberry squad car. It's a whole range of cars from 60 through 67. And we have one of each. These cars,
Just
so the
siren.
siren is all I have. So I had to siren that squirrel. You filmed me sirening?
No,
that squirrel.
I missed it, but you'll find another squirrel for me.
Yeah.
I was trying to get it focused, turned around.
So sold off as used cars after Ford takes them back. And they're bringing you more cars next year, so there's no reason for them to keep them. And nobody's collecting movie cars, so there's no reason for anybody to think they'd be worth something someday. As it turns out today, we think they could be worth between $2 and $5 million a piece. We're not even really sure how
These
much
cars?
they're worth, if you could find them.
Oh, really?
We don't know where the cars from the show went, though, because Ford supposedly has never published a list of serial numbers of the cars they used, which means your guess is just as good as mine. If I go looking for the cars, I got to have that list of numbers, and nobody's turned one up yet. And they've been looking for them for 60 years and have not found one that they know
Really?
of. So I don't think there was one. I don't think they ever did have a list of those numbers.
Wow.
Never say anything about Mount Airy on the show, but we are Andy Griffith's hometown. He was born and raised here.
Yeah.
And he was not writing the TV show about Mount Airy. He was very careful to say that, but he was using Mount Airy to drive the reality of the TV show. For instance, Gomer is very proud that he knows all the words to the Marine Corps hymn. And on the show, Andy says, "Where'd you learn all that?" Gomer says, "It's on the back of them fans they hand out down Nelson's funeral parlor." Well, that was the name of Mount Airy's funeral home in the 30s. When Andy grew up here, was Nelson's funeral home.
Really?
And you wouldn't know that unless you're from Mount Airy, but he's waving at me from 60 years ago on his TV show because I know what that is. But forget that part of it. If you've never heard of that, they just made Mayberry seem more real to you because they just told you the name of one of their funeral homes and it's Nelson's, and your brain flips this little switch and it thinks, well, it must be a real place. They gave it a formal name, and why would they do that unless it was real? And see, what they've just done is made the TV town that much more realistic to you.
Yeah.
Not much, but if you do that...
especially if you're from here.
Well, yes, but if you're not production there back then.
Yeah.
This is our giant quarry I was talking about. World's largest open-face granite quarry.
Really? Look at that.
More granite spread out on the surface there than just about anybody else has.
Yeah.
And the quarry here, well, they've started working on slimming it down a little bit. When Andy was living here, they needed 12 or 1,500 people out here. And now it's dropped down to about 40 people, and maybe even less than that pretty soon.
Look at this.
It's pretty heavy. A piece of it the size of our heads weighs close to 200 pounds. You can't pick it up. Now the guys are still working on some pieces. See the man in his orange shirt out there bending over underneath that little yellow crane thing. Way over there. He's wearing an orange shirt and blue jeans. See him?
Yeah, way over there.
Way
Way
over
over there.
there. Oh, yeah.
Way over there.
Now the crane thing that's standing up over him is about 30 feet tall from the ground. And the wall behind that is another 10, 15 feet on top of that. So that cliff behind where the guy is standing is something like 40 feet tall. It does not look like that from here, but we're way back from it. And there's nothing in the foreground except those trees to really give you any idea of scale, and they're not much help. A tree can be any size. But the walls over there, the tallest of the walls is 80 feet tall, and it does not look like that. It looks an 8-story building, but see that guy, you can tell from the size of that guy how big it is.
You can hardly see him.
Yeah. And so they cut it off the walls out there using water. They actually use high pressure water to do most of it. And when they do, they get the big pieces and they take them to their saw shed and they cut them up down there where they're supposed to, and then they ship it out by truck. It goes all over the country.
Yeah. Heavy.
Very heavy.
Yep.
The piece of it, well, they like to cut it off in pieces about the size of this guard shack here.
Yeah.
And the guard shack would weigh roughly 100,000 pounds if it was a piece of granite.
Man.
And when they take that down to the saws, they cut it and polish it and shape it and send it out. Most of it, about 90% of it, goes to be curb stones. We do the curbing from Washington, D.C. from here, 3 truckloads per week. And a little known fact, the curbing for our nation's capital comes from Mayberry.
Right here.
And they tell you that up there as well. Pick your own. They bring up pieces about the size of my hand and they leave them here for
You want
people.
a piece or no?
I don't care, babe.
Okay. We won't then.
I would
So
say
800-year supply, you say?
Yeah, the rock, and it is all one rock, it goes down about a mile under this and out 7 miles.
Man.
It is a mile across.
Jeez. One big rock.
So if you built a building out of this when Abraham Lincoln was the president and you need to do something to that building today, we're still working on the same granite. It should match. That shouldn't be a problem.
Man.
These are the saw houses where they cut it up. And right here beside of us, see how they've stacked it ready to ship it out, like a lumber yard would do. And there's other people's colors in there. There's pink granites and blue granites and a lot of other colors.
Man.
It comes in from other places to be worked by these machines for now. He talks about the church that his family went to, Grace Moravian up on the north end of town. He talks about the school that he went to, Old Rockford Street Elementary, right up there. We'll go by in a minute. He talks about diners that he ate at, Snappy Lunch, or Bluebird. And in real life, he's waving at people back home, but again, fleshing out the reality of the TV town he's in.
Historic downtown.
Here we're going up to the hill. Mount Airy is built at the top of this ridge of granite. They actually, in the late 1800s, built the buildings on top of the tallest ridge they could find, and it turns out there's granite underneath all of downtown. It goes about 10 stories down, they say. So a lot of the buildings you see on Main Street, they didn't waste money or time building foundations for them. They just started building them on top of the granite.
On top of the granite, yeah.
So we are the town. They don't refer to it on the TV show as Mount Airy or Granite City or anything. The closest they get is saying Mount Pilot, which is a combination of the names Mount Airy and Pilot Mountain.
Yeah.
That was Andy's doing. Also, don't pay any attention to our ugly concrete curbs because, you know, right here in front of the newspaper, this is just awful. We could fix all this in about a week, but no. See what they put in just day before yesterday? More concrete curbs.
Oh my gosh.
Ridiculous.
Why would they do that?
I don't. They don't want to pay for the granite, you know. This is Andy's mural up here in front of us.
Oh yeah.
The fellow painted this on this wall 2 years ago. He did it with nothing but cans of spray paint, just black and white spray paint.
Really?
Did it in 10 days.
Incredible.
That is something.
It's about 2 days per face. He did it in 10 days.
With spray can paint.
Spray paint. And see, the outline of Pilot Mountain is back there behind all of the faces. See, that's the shadow that's going across is Pilot Mountain.
Wow.
Spray stick of that. They loaned us the boulders.
That's terrible of this company.
Loaned
Those
us
boulders.
the
They didn't give them. They just said
they're coming back.
we can come get them whenever.
Will that they could.
You would
create.
think. So Up here under this stoplight, this is the peak of the Granite Ridge. It runs right down the middle of our main street. And the buildings, you don't see settling cracks in them because where are they going to go? They're on solid granite.
Oh, man.
You also don't see, past this point, storm drains in our ugly concrete curbs.
There's no place for it to go.
We can't do that either. Solid granite.
So it just runs down the sidewalks?
Down the hill, yeah.
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 And see, we haven't made it look like Mayberry. It would be wrong to take an 1892 storefront building and make it look like Floyd's Barber Shop from a TV show in the 60s. That wouldn't be fair. You need to see all of these buildings' history. This one right here is 101 years old. You need to see that.
Which one? This one here?
Yeah.
The bank building?
And
1923?
that granite came out of that rock that you just looked at. Those columns
The Bank
are
of
one
Mount
single
Airy.
piece of that rock.
Yeah.
18 inches across and 2 stories tall. All right. I know motorcycle gang when I see one. You just be nice. Be nice.
There's a jailhouse down there.
Be nice. This is the best job in the whole world. This is Donna Fargo, the country music singer from the 1970s. That same artist painted her on this wall last year. She's from Mount Airy.
Really?
The happiest girl in the whole USA. That's all spray paint, every bit of it.
That is hard to believe.
Took me 5 days of that.
Man.
Walker's Soda Fountain here, which is a recreation of something from the show.
Yeah.
Bear Creek Gifts, which is a recreation of darn near everything from Gatlinburg, Tennessee, I guess. That's not one of our squad cars there.
It isn't. They just put it out for...
It doesn't run, it just sits there. This is Miss
Really?
Angel's Hillbilly Ice Cream and Moonshine Pies.
Right there, yeah.
Sorghum whiskey from our distillery in her pies and her ice cream. Occasionally into herself, but I'm not allowed to talk about that. Opie's Candy Store.
Yeah.
Floyd's City Barber Shop, always closed on Mondays, but you can ordinarily get a haircut in there. And Snappy Lunch, which Andy mentions by name on the TV show.
Really?
Can you still get a haircut there?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Not
Just
today.
Not today.
Over here on the left, the Honorable Mayor Jack A. Loftus Memorial Bathroom Plaza. Yes, we
Bathroom.
did. You give your mayor a gold watch when he retired, but not us. We know how to party. Now, behind the city truck here on our left, that's our gigantic Mount Airy post office over there.
Right.
As you can see, we do not worry much about hurricanes. That is about 4 times bigger than anything we would need as a small city of our size, but it looks good.
That's what I said.
For post office,
As we
yeah.
walked past it, I'm like, that is
Yeah, a lot of people think
big
it's a courthouse.
post office.
That's just the post office.
Yeah.
And see, the work on it was done by hand. Guys with chisels did all that 100 years ago.
Yeah.
Chisels.
Man.
And this is not a rock you want to be chiseling, I can tell you that.
No.
This is where Andy's high school was. They tore it down in the 50s, and now it's our municipal building, our public library, our real Mount Airy Police Department, and everything is made out of, guess what?
Granite.
Granted.
Except for the one building that needed to be. I don't know
Andy
what they were
Griffith
thinking.
Museum.
Made out of brick. Don't tell anybody. See, we hide it because we's embarrassed.
Yeah.
It just went away. The statue is out in front. It's bronze, so we let it slide.
Oh.
Yeah.
The Playhouse. This is what's left of Andy's elementary school. This is the old Rockford Street School. He mentions it on the show. It's where Opie supposedly goes to elementary and where Ms. Crump supposedly teaches. But in real life, it's where Andy stood on the stage as an 8-year-old boy one day and sang, "Put on your old gray bonnet," and they gave him a standing ovation. And he went running right down this sidewalk right here, and he told his mama he did not want to be a preacher anymore. He wanted to be a entertainer because ain't nobody ever claps for preachers.
Wow.
I love that story too.
Yeah.
Now,
Yeah.
his dad worked about 4 blocks that way at the Mount Airy Furniture Plant.
Down Price Street.
Making cheers, that's what he called them. Rocking cheers.
Cheers, yeah.
I had a family 2 years ago from the Jersey Shore. The whole family riding around and talking about this stuff. And I said the thing about the cheers, and their daughter, who was about 12, was sitting beside of me, and she said, "I don't know what you're saying." And she looks at the back seat at her dad, and she says, "I can't understand him. I don't know what he's saying." And her dad leans across the seat and he goes, "Cheers. He's saying cheers."
Cheers.
And she says, "Well, why didn't he say cheers?" He says, "Cheers, I don't know what he's talking about. Why doesn't he say cheers?" And he goes, "They don't talk like that down here." We do not talk like that down here. And he bought this little house right here. This is 711 East Haymore. They lived here for quite a while. They lived here 31 years, his mom and dad did.
Really?
That includes 3/4 of the way through the TV show. So young Andy is on TV on a show with his own name on it, and mom and dad live right here. They never changed who they are.
Really?
No. They could have. There's stories about him coming home to visit and saying, "Mama, I forgot to bring you a birthday present, but I can buy you anything in this world you want." And he meant it. What do you want? And she has to think about it, and she says, "A dining room. We're entertaining ladies from church, and we'd like us a dining room." Dining room.
Wow.
It never occurred to Geneva Griffith to say, "We want a bigger house in the country club into town because, you know, you're famous now."
Yeah.
That's not who they were. And
Really?
so if you watch the show, you honestly can tell how he was raised. He is showing you his childhood on that show.
Yeah.
It's not autobiographical, but he's dumping everything he has into telling you these stories. And so mom and dad live here with him putting stuff into the show to wave at them every week as he appears on their TV Sunday night at 9 o'clock on CBS.
Wow.
So they're sitting here one night, and Barney has a sidecar on the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Andy says, "Well, quick, get somebody down there to Haymore at Rockford and head him off before he gets into town." This is Haymore at Rockford.
Yeah.
Oh.
And you wouldn't catch that unless
Yeah.
you're from Mount Airy.
Yeah.
But mom and dad are probably watching it, and dad probably looks at mom and says, "Did you just hear that? He
Yeah.
just did it again." And his mom is on the phone going, "Sugar, you're embarrassing your daddy, honey. Stop it." This happened here.
So there's people staying in here right now.
Yes, today it belongs to the Hampton Inn in Mount Airy, and they rent it out like it's an Airbnb. Usually it's about 6 to 8 months in advance, but we are coming out of Mayberry days this weekend. The biggest day in all of the Mayberry year is right here this past weekend, and today is the tail off from it. And this place is rented on Mayberry Days weekend, they say 22 years in advance.
22
So
years.
2046.
Oh my
Oh,
God.
man.
And
We'll
so,
be dead.
well, see, you would be crazy to stay here that weekend, because if we hadn't have taken a direct hit from a hurricane this past weekend, there would have been 30,000 people here, and most of them would have been standing in this yard.
Really?
And do you really want to live in there while that's going on?
Right.
Some of them are dressed as Opie or Aunt B or Andy or Barney, and they're going to knock on that door and want to get a picture standing in Andy's bedroom. And
Oh, wow.
that's cool the first 20 times that happens, but at midnight, 2 a.m., that's not that cool anymore.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think I'd like to do it.
No.
I probably wouldn't have the money. I don't think it's $200 for this weekend. I think it's a lot more than that.
No, I looked at it and it was going to be $565
That sounds...
for last night and tonight,
Yeah.
and it was just far enough away that instead we're staying at the Heart and Soul. So
Yeah.
we could walk to everything.
Yeah. Plus, you get breakfast right there on the premises. You don't have to go over to the Hampton Inn.
I said
Right.
breakfast at the Hampton Inn left.
Yeah.
You wouldn't have believed her breakfast.
I haven't
this
eaten
morning.
her cooking yet. They've only had the place for a little over a year, but everybody that has stayed there has raved about how she cooks.
Oh my God.
And I'm like, was it worth it? They're like, no, it was worth it just to eat there. Forget about
Yes.
staying there. Just to eat there was worth the price. And I'm like, I got to go over and have me some of that
Yeah.
lady's cooking.
Coffee right outside your room at 7 a.m., breakfast at 9. The appetizer was this wonderful fruit cup with real whipped cream
Really?
and some kind of sweet little crumbles on top.
Really?
And
Yeah.
then the main thing,
And that wasn't
besides
even
the
breakfast.
cinnamon, that was just the appetizer for breakfast. And then the main thing was this huge piece of like a quiche, but it was way better than any quiche I've ever had. And caprese, you know, the tomato with the real mozzarella on it.
Yeah.
And a homemade bunt cinnamon. Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, and I gave him my meat. It was these little sausages
Sweet.
wrapped in bacon.
Oh,
and
gosh.
it was good.
Yeah. Okay, good.
It's
That's-
worth a night's stay.
That's what I've heard. That is what
Yeah.
I've heard. No, you could have done a lot worse than staying at Heart and Soul. A lot worse. The Griffiths, Andy is their only child.
Really?
Once he moves out, when he completes college, University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, degree in music education, they are empty nesters in here, and they stay here till 1966 when their movie star son decides to have them come live in Los Angeles with him. and they sell the house and the car, they give away the clothes and the furniture, and they just fly to LA like they've won the darn lottery. Because they basically have.
They have,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so Andy puts them out there for the rest of their life. They're actually buried there. Both
In
of them are buried
LA.
in Beverly Hills, well, Forest
Oh,
Lawn.
really? That's
Yes.
kind of sad that they wouldn't want to be buried here.
Well, he just let them stay out there, I guess, and they have plenty of friends and family still in Mount Airy. His daughter was here this weekend. She's here every Mayberry Days, Dixie, and she
Really?
stays with people here, you know, because these people are related to her. They're
Andy
her
Griffith's
cousins.
daughter?
Yeah, Dixie.
Dixie, okay. His only child?
Now he had they adopted. He and his first wife Barbara adopted 2 kids, and the little boy he had some problems and he didn't make it much past about 30. But his daughter, she's the sweetest lady. You'd never know she was the daughter of some famous Hollywood person.
Man.
Well, then again, it's
Probably
Andy
now our
Griffith.
age, wouldn't she be?
Yes, her granddaughter was here with her this weekend, and she's pretty nice too. He rode his bike up and down this hill. He delivered drugs for the drugstore on occasion. He delivered newspapers, and pretty much lived the small town existence.
Yeah.
Worked at the furniture plant sweeping up after his dad for a summer or 2. And this is what he's putting into the show. He may not use the name, but he's putting stuff from here into the show. He doesn't mention the granite, which you can see is everywhere.
Yeah, it's everywhere. Look at that.
But he does mention people's names from this town and their businesses and their streets.
So there really was a Floyd?
There
you
was
think?
there was not really. There was a barber, of course, but his name wasn't Floyd.
Oh, okay.
And down here, I must warn you, Halloween is coming. It comes to Mayberry just as it does for every other man. Although
Yeah.
it's a little different here.
It is a little bit different,
Oh,
eh?
that's cute.
Yep.
And some of these are pretty obscure characters, but they're from the show. That's Malcolm Merriweather with his English bicycle.
Yeah, I remember him.
Jimmy, the dynamite eating goat.
Oh,
Back there is Goober,
funny.
not Gomer, but Goober. Andy, Ain't Me, Barney,
Squad car
Lou,
parking only.
Otis with his still. The lady shoplifter beside him. Opie with the fish, and Leon with the jelly sandwich.
Yeah?
No, thank you, Leon. And my spirit animal, Ernest T. Bass with his brig.
It's me. It's me. It's me. It's Ernest D.
Kiss you right on the jaw.
Yeah.
And up here on the pole in front of us is Mr. McBeebe.
There's a
I
cemetery.
remember that.
Up
Did you
there.
see him?
Oh, up there. McPhoebe.
McBeebe.
McBeebe.
That's my favorite episode. Opie sees this guy that's a power company worker, and he comes back with this wild story for his dad about this guy that walks around
Yeah,
in the trees.
I remember
has a big
that.
silver hat,
Oh.
and he
Yeah.
thinks he's lying, and at the end of it, he meets him. you know?
Yeah. He also had that character was living in the woods for a while.
That
And
Ernest T. that was living in the woods.
yeah. And his dad didn't believe him, and he had him and a couple of his friends out there meeting with him,
Oh,
camping.
yeah.
Right?
Yeah, the tramp.
The tramp that was living out in the
Yes.
woods.
So this is where Andy grows up. He's starting to put people in the show from here. He uses their names. Andy was, well, you have to go through what your character goes through in order to portray your character the right way. So if you're playing a one-armed man, you get to tie your arm behind your back and walk around for a week with just one arm so you can see what it's like to be a one-armed man.
Yeah.
You put that into your performance. Andy is doing that with his hometown. He's playing a small town southern sheriff, so he brings his small southern town and drops it into the show. He turns all of us into method actors, I guess, and makes fun of them. His
Beverly
show was not
Hillbillies.
going to do that.
Yeah.
And so the names of the show sound completely made up. Jethro Bodine, Jed Clampett,
Beverly
he didn't like
Hillbillies.
that. So he used real people's names where he could on the show because they sounded more real.
Yeah.
His best friend from high school, a fella named Emmett Forrest. Andy turns him into a character on the show, Emmett Clark with the Fix-It Shop.
Yeah, I remember him. But he had all
yes.
kind of
He's named after Andy's
gadgets
best friend
working
from high
on.
school.
Yeah.
Although he felt like it added to the performance of the TV show, and it did.
Yeah.
It must. People still like it 60 plus
Oh,
years
yeah.
later.
There's such good down home southern values there.
Yes. This is Wally's, and I know you know it's
Oh, Wally's
but
service
did you know it
station.
was Wally's? This is a 1937 Standard Oil gas station, and it really did belong to Andy's second cousin, Wallace Smith, at one point.
Really?
So this was called Wally's
Goober
before
says,
they
hey.
even had television.
Why'd they park this U-Haul truck in the way?
The U-Haul is moving the store. They're
Oh,
actually
is it?
moving out part of the store today.
Oh, we're home.
We're back.
We're back.
Now, what we usually do is we get people out of the car and we get pictures with them here with Wally's up in the background or something like that, so you can prove that you've been here.
Yeah.
And it proves that.
Do I give you the check or for
Yeah, they don't want us in there with the tax. They don't want somebody to run off with the money. Thank you, man. Yeah, we're one of the few places that'll take an out-of-town check, no problem.
I know.
Turns red up. See it's recording
Okay,
now.
got
so
it.
you can just frame it.
All right, everybody, put your hands up. You got to get arrested.
Oh my goodness.
Caught y'all driving while naked again. That there's 1084, buddy.
Yeah.
No, they're closed. Today.
Oh, they won't
They're
let you in.
changing Stores. But the other
Okay.
one's open. The hotel is open and the gift shop beside the courthouse. Did you get the courthouse?
Wally's service station.
Gift shop on the other side is open.
And Goober says, hey. Man.